For most of my life, I had no idea how money worked, and I actually kind of hated anything that had to do with the whole subject. And as I groped my way into adulthood, it became clear that I just wasn't going to be very good with it. And if you knew my backstory, this would be seen as kind of surprising given the fact that my mom put a constant and vocal emphasis on the virtue and practice of frugality. But I think our relative poverty and the feeling that money was this hyper-scarce resource that only those rich people had more than enough of kind of cast a long dark shadow on my perception of frugality at that point in my life. So I grew up, went into the army, then to college, and through osmosis adopted all the middle class attitudes about money. You know, man, just throw it on the card. You make good money, you can pay it off. Dude, you'll always have a car payment. You'll always have credit card debt. I mean, really, how does anyone actually get through college without student loans unless they're like born with a silver spoon in their mouth? So in today's video, I want to outline my journey to becoming a minimalist and how this mindset was instrumental in helping me to, one, obliterate $174,000 worth of debt in 2.5 years, and two, helped my wife and I reach a $700,000 net worth and into sort of a lean financial independence posture in another 5 years. And most importantly, how you can use these simple principles to get control of your own money for good. Real quick, thanks for liking or double disliking, subscribing, and leaving a comment or 2 or 3 sharing what you had for breakfast and which one of these ideas you plan on using toward your own financial goal. I graduated from college, got a fantastic job in Yellow Pages advertising sales back when that was still a thing in the dinosaur age, and proceeded to completely suppress everything my mom had tried to teach me about money. And it took about 5 years, a horrendously painful divorce, a dead-end corporate job, and a move to a brand new city where I didn't know anyone for me to hit rock bottom and to be forced to face my financial music. So next, I wanted to talk about the 3 stages that led to my landing on minimalism. Number 1, how I became the statistic. 2, what hitting rock bottom revealed about my beliefs. And 3, how minimalism helped me to climb out of the hole. So how I became the statistic. 78% of the population lives paycheck to paycheck. I mean, isn't it crazy that 8 out of every 10 people we interact with on a daily basis live paycheck to paycheck, and many would have a hard time covering a $400 emergency? How is that possible? Actually, I know how because I lived it. My decidedly torturous season of paycheck to paycheck living started after I went through a horrendously painful divorce and relocated where I had lived in Southwest Florida to Atlanta, Georgia to start a new life and try to remove myself from the immediate environment that elicited all the painful memories I just spent about a decade accumulating. And I did remove myself from some of those painful memories, sort of. I used my newfound lucrative career to learn just how to embody all the middle class attitudes that I outlined a little earlier. What I was actually doing was using my new city and network to drown my sorrows in overtly silly financial decisions. I leased a car, I bought a condo that was out of my price range, I paid for tons of dinners out for my friends, and generally lived like I was just going to keep making more and more money indefinitely. The problem was, on top of the unrelenting grieving process I was going through, I actually hated my job. Even though it was the most lucrative job I'd ever had, and I knew that if I could stomach the job, the company, and all its bureaucratic and political nonsense, I could continue to make even more money. But that just was not going to work. In April of 2001, still grieving, still completely lost, I quit my corporate job to pursue my dream career of becoming a full-time musician. And while I still believe that this was the right move, both emotionally, psychologically, and even career-wise for where I was at that stage in my life, the financial part of it was just not jiving, like at all. Almost overnight, I went from multiple 5-figure paychecks per month to, well, as they say, peanuts. And I was not prepared for it in any way. I had no budget, no savings, and I was using a home equity line of credit as my largely untapped emergency fund. So suddenly I was living hand to mouth in dealing with the consequences of not being responsible with my money. And the following 3 years saw my financial and emotional life devolve into paycheck to paycheck living and a whopping $174,000 worth of debt that culminated in my hitting absolute rock bottom in the winter of 2004. So let's talk about what rock bottom revealed. world, rock bottom showed me a bunch of things about myself. Rock bottom was the clearest, cleanest, most crisp mirror I had ever looked into. It showed me that I had to change, and I had to change right now. There was nothing left for me to hide behind. In real terms, that meant that my $43,000 home equity line of credit was totally tapped out, with paying off my car, buying music gear I needed for my career, and then ultimately to cover the living expenses due to the extreme shortfall in my income. And on top of all that, the $131,000 mortgage was something that I just could not afford. And even though I was emotionally destroyed and completely beat down, there was a strange sense of hope that I started to feel. I had recently discovered Dave Ramsey's material, and I had started dabbling with it, and it started to give me a glimmer of hope that I actually could climb out of this deep, dark crater I had so carefully constructed for myself. So filled with this odd sense of hope, I decided that I would, very reluctantly, venture back into corporate sales for a season as a primary job and keep my music career as a side hustle and work like a madman to pay down this debt so that I could ride off into the sunset of my gloriously conceived music career. So I updated my resume, put it out there, and literally almost immediately got 2 interviews and 2 solid offers. I was in complete disbelief. So I took a job with a pretty well-known software company that produced a contact management software and proceeded to work like a complete lunatic. In short order, I became the top salesman in the office, rookie of the year, and proceeded to smash all of their sales records. So rock bottom was actually giving me some much needed rocket fuel. So next I want to talk about how I discovered minimalism and how it helped me climb out of the hole that I was in. So what does all this have to do with minimalism? Well, it has everything to do with it actually. Once I started to realize that I was the one who was both responsible and able to do something about my financial mess, things really began to shift in my mind. I will never forget the moment when I logged into my online checking account and looked at my balance and almost lost my consciousness. That was the pivotal moment that everything changed. That was the moment that I decided to go back into the corporate world and use my music career as a side hustle. So not only did I go on the offense in terms of going back into corporate sales to earn more money, but I also started playing hyper-focused defense in terms of 1, organizing and optimizing my finances, getting on a solid budget, learning how to diligently track expenses, and to get on a solid debt elimination plan. Those 4 critical elements very naturally put me in a minimalist frame of mind, even though I couldn't really recognize that at the time. A natural part of my defense was to start going through my belongings to find things I could liquidate for cash so I could start paying off my debt or continue paying off my debt. Now, the primary reason for the liquidation was the cash, but then I slowly started to realize the lift I was getting by decluttering my life from all of this cruft that I had accumulated over the years. And the lightness I felt when I was going through this process became super addictive. During that period of time, I sold over $20,000 worth of music gear, books, and just miscellaneous items that had been laying around for years. And I sold all this stuff using Amazon, eBay, and Craigslist. Then I proceeded to put my condo on the market, which I ultimately sold, and I was able to move into a friend's basement apartment. That decision, partially because I was downsizing into a smaller space, forced me to liquidate even more things like my ginormous 5-piece bedroom set replete with a California king-size bed and a monstrous armoire, my couch, my second giant living room armoire, a desk. I mean, I decluttered and minimized to the maximum. So if you're curious as to how I initially engaged in the process that pulled me into minimalism and frugality, you can download my free debt elimination quick start guide. So this little guide outlines the first steps in the process that helped me to pay off that $174,000 in debt in 2.5 years, and then go on to build an over $700,000 net worth in the next 5 years. For maximum results, you can use this guide alongside our free YouTube companion video series, the 30-day debt elimination quick start challenge. And my discovery and journey toward financial minimalism is woven all throughout the story. So leave me a comment below and let me know your biggest financial goal and how you plan to use minimalism to accomplish it. And don't forget to smash that like button. It really helps our content reach more people who are interested in financial minimalism. And you may be asking, how can Zero Debt Coach help you? 4 ways. 1, Subscribe to the channel and click the notifications bell to make sure you get our new videos every week. 2, download one of our free personal finance guides. You'll learn some of the exact strategies I teach my private financial coaching students on how to organize and optimize their finances, obliterate their debt, and move on to financial independence by starting and growing an online business. Number 3, if you're looking for a community of motivated and like-minded people, go ahead and get on the wait list to join our private financial coaching community. We only open it for new students a couple of times a year, so make sure you get on the wait list for that. And finally, 4, if you need some help right now because you've got some kind of burning issue, you need a problem solved, you want to talk through a complex situation, go to zerodebtcoach.com and click on the Become a Student button. And finally, check out one of these videos. And keep on building your financial acumen. Keep pursuing minimalism. Let's make this your best year yet. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.